you guys played well in that second half at Buffalo, and then you were able to do what you were able to do this past week against the Jets. How do you build off that what you did in a huge opportunity game here coming up on Sunday night?
I wouldn't necessarily say a huge opportunity, more or less just to say it's the next opportunity. We can't get caught up in, game meanings. At this particular point of the juncture, every single game is the most important game. We understand that. And as offense, we've been coming together here lately, and we just got to keep building, and we can't just shoot the Sunday night to start that. It starts tomorrow's practice. We had a great day of practice today, just trying to master the execution, and and that's what it's going to come down to.
Thank you.
Next question, Mike Reese, followed by Evan Lazar.
Hey, Cam, you're one of the most accomplished rushing quarterbacks in NFL history. What do you admire the most about how Lamar has sort of impacted or changed the game in that same area?
Man, my boy Lamar got a gear not many human beings got. And just to see him take off, I'm a fan of the game. And if I'm watching Baltimore, obviously I'm watching, to see what the MVP, is going to do. So, I just respect his game so much. And for him to evolve, people don't realize, they just see you running around and, I think for a long time and still to date, a lot of people do not respect the art of being able to run and protect yourself and to attack the defenses in many different ways, not taking anything against anybody who cannot or does not decide to run, but for him to be as successful and to make the impact, the big splash in this game, not many people have done it. I say Michael Vick, I say Lamar, I don't even think I'm in that stratosphere, but for him to be as dominant, dynamic, explosive at the quarterback position is something that, just gives so much opportunity to the younger generation to, be able to see what Lamar Jackson is doing and to get hopes to say I could play the quarterback position too.
Next question, Andrew Callahan, followed by Chris Ryan.
Hi, Cam. I wanted to go back to Monday just really quickly. I know the Jets came with a ton of pressure, and we talked about it with Dave Andrews and Shaq Mason this week. So from your standpoint, what went well in those plays against the blitz from your position, and what do you see with the Ravens given how much they've been pressuring teams this season?
I'm just going to focus on the Ravens. And no disrespect to your question, it's Thursday, and no need to kind of look back. But for us, we have to be prepared for the exotic looks that the Ravens present. They are extremely decisive in what they want to do. They want to dictate to the defense, and having the ability to play with coverages, challenge defenders, challenge receivers or route runners in a passing game is something that, that they are capable of doing with so many talented cover guys, obviously Humphreys, and you just pick a guy in the secondary. They have a fine or happy medium from, veteran guys to younger guys that's playing, really well. And that's what it comes down to. We cannot allow those guys to, pin their ears back and have us second guessing, from mic points to sliding to this, that, and the third. We just have to know what we have to do and know what they're trying to do to us, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then real quick, I know it's just been 2 practices here with Isaiah Ford, but what have you learned about him? Has he looked in practice, and does he have a nickname yet?
Yes, he does. He does have a nickname. Hot off the press. So I'm sure you're waiting. His nickname is 30 for 30. Probably asking yourself, why 30 for 30? So I asked him, I said, yo, Isaiah, do you have any nicknames? He's like, yeah, you can just call me Zay. I said, cool. Well, if you don't know, my name's Cam, and I'm the nicknamer around here. I pretty much, for what it's worth. I said, so tell me a little bit about you. Like, do you have a hidden talent? Do you know how to play a musical instrument? Do you know how to sing? Do you know how to, draw, whatever? He was like, no, I know how to hoop. So I looked down. I'm like, you know how to hoop? He was like, yeah, I know how to hoop. And he was like, well, shoot, at high school, I averaged 30 points. So I said, well, there you go. 30 for 30. That's your nickname. Boom. And, unfortunately, or should I say fortunately for him, I tried to Google him and I didn't see that statistic. But the nickname is pretty much catchy. I like it. I don't know if it's going to stick. See, it's too early to tell if it's going to stick now. But, as of right now, the pending nickname for, new guy Isaiah is 30 for 30.
And how do you look there on the field real quick?
I can't tell you that now. It's just going to be for you to just find out yourself.
Next question, Chris Ryan, followed by Mark Daniels.
Hey, Cam, what has Lamar's compliments of you meant? He said you're the OG Superman. Basically, you're his guy. What has that meant? What has that meant to you that he has looked up to you in this way?
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't think even Lamar knows this. I think I seen Lamar's first college game. I want to say it was an early game, and surprisingly enough, they played Auburn. He was a freshman, and I just kept looking. It was at the Georgia Dome, I believe, I believe it was Georgia. And I was looking. I was like, man, who in the world is this kid flying around? I don't know. I didn't know who he was. But he was making plays like, he was so electric. But you knew he was young and he knew he had the capabilities of being obviously what he is today. If staying out of trouble and evolving his game, more so less from the neck up. And the legend of Lamar Jackson, is history in the college level. But, for him, man, or anybody else, man, I just know when I first came into the league and I knew how hard it was to, kind of find like the likeness, so to speak, and to want to chat with people and talk with people. Not saying that it was hard, but, talking to certain quarterbacks that do not have your amenities or your traits can be kind of tough. But playing quarterback, you can still get great dialogue from any person who's been in this league for a long time. But for him and anybody else, the young guns in this league, man, I always want to use my services as any way, shape, form possible. And for him to say those words, I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, he's a person who has took this league by storm, and especially early on, the doubt that came with it. I mean, we all can relate to being second guess, question, can he play? He got bust written all over him and things like that. And for him to succeed through it all, makes him the true underdog story that we all love to root for.
Just briefly, can you learn things from him too, particularly in how they execute that offense and the kind of smoke and mirrors in the running game? Do you take anything from him as much as he's taken from you?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, listen, every single time we play a game, I'm always looking to see if they played the Ravens, just to see how they played Lamar. Because if they played Lamar that way, then there's a chance that they will show some type of tracing of playing me that way, as well. So with the running ability, with the RPOs, with the, the quarterback design runs, the reads and everything else, it's not too many teams that do it as much, as the Ravens, but you can still kind of get a gauge or a sense of, how teams will kind of adjust to it.
Thanks, Ken.
Next question, Mark Daniels, followed by Doug Kite.
Hey, Cam, I wanted to ask you about Damiere Byrd. Obviously, you saw him. He was a younger guy coming into the league, and he might have been known more as a track guy at that point, trying to learn the nuances of the receiver position. fast forward a handful of years, and here he is for you guys playing, a pretty big role. Just how much development have you seen from Demir? I know he's still fast, but just as a receiver, and and how much growth have you seen from him in his game?
Man, when I first got here, I just had to, take a moment to, just chat, just like I've done with a lot of people here. But for Demir to have known him, where he came from and his journey to where he is now, man, I just wanted to appreciate his professionalism and his evolving of a player, football player that is, and he's just been great. A guy who understands this offense, a guy who's just been learning so much, a guy who's just taking an opportunity and trying to make the most of it. And like I said, I seen when Demir first stepped in the locker room, a wide-eyed rookie, not knowing who, to kind of cling on to. But for him, the moment's never too big for him. And every year he's gotten better. And I think he still have his best football still set ahead of him.
Is he one of the fastest guys you've played with?
Oh, without a doubt. Like I could put a top 5 Mount Rushmore guys, who I had the opportunity to play with, and he's definitely up there.
Thank you.
Next question, Doug Kyde, followed by Nick Coit.
Cam, I know that you're not big into stats and it's all about winning, but when you see that you've only thrown 2 touchdown passes on the season, you've thrown a lot of touchdown passes during the course of your career, what's just your reaction to that, the lack of passing touchdowns this season?
See, that's what I say. Like, touchdowns are touchdowns. It's a passing touchdown is no different than a running touchdown. And production as an offense is no different than if I'm scoring or Rex Burkhead is scoring or Damian Harris is scoring, or doesn't matter. For us, well, really for me, since, I only can speak for myself, whenever given the opportunity, I think a lot of people look down upon, the fact that you run touchdowns in, and so be it. And would I want to have more touchdowns in total? I mean, I think that's an irrelevant or an obvious question that everybody knows what the answer would be. But I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get the best version of me, to feel comfortable in this offense. And I think I speak for a lot of people when they say the same thing, with learning the offense, trying to understand what Josh and the offensive staff is trying to get from us each and every day, what they're seeing, understanding the play caller's purpose. And, that will lead to offensive performances that we would like to see, from touchdowns to yards to everything else. And, for me personally, I don't necessarily, look deep into it, but knowing if given the opportunity, I would love to get more touchdowns, and I could care less if it came through the air or on the ground.
Thank you.
The last 2 questions will be Nick Coit and Mike Reese.
Thank you, Stacy. Hey, Cam. In regards to 30 for 30 and some of the new guys that you've brought in at tight end and even at receiver with a guy like Dante Moncrief, what's been your role in trying to get them up to speed as quickly as possible, especially at the midway point of the season?
Honestly, I just want to make myself accessible, and not only being the captain on this team, but as a person who has been in their shoes as the new guy. And knowing, like, I don't know who to talk to. I just want to make sure that they get comfortable sooner rather than later, because, it's an awkward feeling walking into a brand new locker room, not knowing nobody's names, and everybody is, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, how you doing? You doing all right? It can become kind of, weird to a degree. So I think my role is to go about it in a way that, allows them to open up and, trust. And if they have questions for me, they can ask me or anybody else. And, that's pretty much what it has been.
And in terms of your nicknames, do you feel like that sort of ushers some guys, into the locker room, into the team, and into the culture?
I mean, as it should. Man, this has been as Bostonians would say, a wicked year for what it's been worth. Obviously COVID has kind of limited, any type of team interactions outside of the stadium. And normally, we would have probably had gatherings, but that has been halted all year. So anytime you got an opportunity to talk to a teammate, be around a teammate, whether in the training room, whether walking out to the practice facility, working out, obviously, practicing social distancing, you would always want to, chat and talk and, make the day go by faster, so to speak. And, that's what it all comes down to. I've been a part of teams where, in times you feel like even though you're sharing your locker room mates or your locker mates, that's just your coworker. And then I also been around teams that has been extremely close, and you guys have this family oriented bond, and those teams usually last, and that's what we're trying to get to.
Thanks, Cam.
And last question, we Mike Reese.
All right, Cam, I just need you to help me fill in my nickname file here. I got a couple open holes. I got Buzzo. Is that Ryan Izzo?
Yeah, and that name came from Home Alone, the brother Buzz, and I thought kind of resemble Buzz, the older brother. So Izzo, Buzzo, you see.
Crazy Legs, is that Damien?
No, Crazy Legs is Dietrich.
Ah, okay. All right. Bent Dog, Juwan?
Yeah, that's Juwan.
All right. And Bo Diddley, is that Bo Allen?
Bo Diddley, yes.
All right. And what is Nick Folk? We got one for Nick Folk after the 51-yarder?
Yes. Okay, well, it's usually kicker guy, but I wanted to call him kind of Paul Pierce guy because he did kind of fake like he was injured, but came back and balled. Then it's kicker guy, punter guy, snapper guy. But snapper guy is Bill Belichick's favorite guy because he's the only person who talks to the team, from Veterans Day and the difference between, I did not know this though, and I don't know a lot of people do know from the 46 people who are in attendance, the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. That was